May the words of my mouth and the meditation of our hearts be always acceptable to you, O Lord, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. Absalom Jones was born into slavery in Delaware in 1746. He taught himself to read in his early teens from books he purchased by saving pennies given to him by visitors to his master's home. At the age of 16, Jones's family was separated when his immediate family members were sold, and he was taken to Philadelphia by his new owner. Jones worked as a clerk in his owner's store by day and was allowed to work for himself and allowed to attend an all-black school at night. In 1770, Jones married a fellow slave, and through hard work and the help of friends and his father-in-law, he was able to buy his wife's freedom. Jones saved enough to purchase his own freedom in 1784. He was an active member of St. George's Methodist Episcopal Church in Philadelphia and served as a lay preacher for the black members of the congregation. In 1786, 40 years old, Richard Allen joined Jones at the church, and their futures would forever be intertwined. The black membership of St. George's increased tenfold as a result of the evangelistic efforts of Jones and Allen, although this increase was not welcomed by the white members of the congregation. Jones and Allen subsequently founded the Free African Society on April 12, 1787. Members of this organization met regularly and paid dues which were used to benefit those in need. This organization was crucial for caring for the sick and dying of Philadelphia when a yellow fever epidemic struck the city in 1793. Out of this society grew the African Church in 1791. They wanted to remain associated with the Methodist Church, but their followers voted overwhelmingly to affiliate themselves with the Episcopal Church. And as a result, because of the persecution by the Methodists of St. George's, Jones remained as the leader of the African Church, which was formally received into the Episcopal Diocese of Philadelphia, of Pennsylvania, on October 17, 1794, and renamed St. Thomas African Episcopal Church. St. Thomas was the first black Episcopal parish in the United States. Bishop William White, Bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of Pennsylvania, ordained Jones a deacon in the Episcopal Church in 1795 and as a priest in 1804. So Jones became the first ordained priest of African descent in the United States. Jones and Allen continued to work together, even though Allen stayed in the Methodist Church. They founded societies and they worked for the poor and they grew their church. Jones lived until February 13th, 1818. Quite a hero for us all. Today's psalm has some interesting images which I think relate well, and obviously someone else thought this, relate well to Absalom Jones. This psalm is a song of ascents. Many people think that this is a song that people would sing while they were ascending the hill to Jerusalem. And we see a sense of looking to the past in this psalm, also looking to the present and looking to the future. Here we have these wonderful images of mouths being filled with laughter and tongues with shouts of joy, asking the Lord to restore the fortunes, O God, like the watercourses of the Negev, that dry region of Israel. The word Negev actually means dry. And then those last two stanzas, those who sowed with tears will reap with songs of joy. Those who go out weeping, carrying the seed, will come again with joy, shouldering their sheaves. We have a sense that in the midst of suffering, in the midst of turmoil, there is still a hope and a real sense of knowledge and understanding of faith that things will be better. Those who plant and are crying those tears have a real notion that when the harvest comes, we will have shouts of joy. And of course, for the time in which Absalom Jones lived, born in slavery, and then through luck and perseverance and some help and some amazing courage was able to move out of that terrible tradition, that terrible practice, and then actually succeeding as a minister and as a model for us all. These ordinary trials and sorrows of life, which we all have, of course, Absalom Jones had them in spades. And yet, out of those tears came great shouts of joy. Out of those times of weeping and carrying the seed, there would be times of harvest. Here we are offered in this psalm a sense of human vulnerability, that through vulnerability evoked by the sower's weeping, there may be actual growth when we can be vulnerable, when we can be open to it, and when we can be open to God. For it is in those sort of broken moments, in those broken parts of ourselves, that God enters in. That here we see that even in the difficulties of our time today, God is in the midst of it, with us, and is entering in and offering us even surprising joy in the midst. Not mere rejoicing, not mere gladness, but a kind of shout for joy. The word itself in Hebrew connotes a word that is rina, which is a loud cry of victory. And here in the psalm, this joy emerges 3 times in the passage, underscoring a sort of Trinitarian ultimate joy. And so we give thanks for the life and witness and model of Absalom Jones, and we know that his work for justice for all people goes on today, and that we can celebrate what he did and also jump in line with him and jump in line on that pathway of God, on that journey, that Camino of Christ, so that we might seek the Lord and seek Christ in each of us, in each of our neighbors, no matter who they are.